Welcome back. It's been a busy day of commitments here in college basketball. Check out the earlier videos Jonathan made. Sky Clark, five-star point guard, committing to Illinois, and Jalen Graham, the forward from Arizona State, going to Arkansas. We have a third one here, and it's Sean bringing you this one. Mark Sears, the guard from Ohio, is committed to Alabama. He heads back home to his home state, and he will play a very big role for Nate Oates next season. 19 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, over 40% from deep, and 88% from the foul line. He had a terrific season replacing Jason Preston, who decided to go to the NBA draft and was the 31st overall selection by the Los Angeles Clippers. Sears did a great job this year. Ohio was the best team in the MAC for a majority of the year, but they hit a skid late in the season, and they ended up falling short of winning the MAC conference tournament, and they ended up finishing third in the regular season behind Toledo, led by NBA prospect Ryan Rollins and Conference Player of the Year at Kent State, Sincere Carey. But Sears had a great year. Ohio was nowhere near where they ended up being without him, and he's going to have to play a significant role for Alabama because on the surface right now, looking at it, they could lose a ton from this year's team, who was up and down. They really struggled on the defensive end of the floor, and Nate Oates' teams always shoot a ton of threes. That's their bread and butter, but they didn't make a lot of them this year. Javon Quinterly really struggled from outside, only shooting 28% from three, down from 43% the prior season. He looks like he could be gone. He went through senior day, and he kind of made it sound like he will not be returning this season. He did get injured in the win over Notre Dame. So his status, we don't know. He might not be there next year. Jaden Shackelford entered the NBA draft for the second consecutive season. He's not a projected NBA draft selection. We'll see what he ends up doing, if it's more of a testing the water situation, or if he will leave the window to return open. Kion Ellis is another guy, could use the extra year of eligibility to return, but he also could find his way on an NBA roster. Hasn't made an announcement as of yet. That's your top three scorers. And then J.D. Davison, he's a guy that probably will get drafted in the early second round, maybe late first round. I'm not sure what his draft status is at the moment, but he's a super athletic guard. He was a top 15 recruit. He had a pretty solid season, 8 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. So looking at those four could all be gone. So that would make your leading returning scorer, Noah Gurley, who already announced that he will return for the extra season of eligibility. He averaged 6.8 points per game. Then after him, it's Charles Bediako at 6.7 points per game and 5 rebounds per game there for the 5-star center. Juwan Gary's gone, who's right behind those two. So you're losing a lot. If those 4 guys that I mentioned a moment ago were gone, you're going to have to do a lot of replenishing from the transfer portal. But one name that was added last year that did not play this year is Amari Burnett, who transferred in from Texas Tech, except for the torn ACL in the preseason, didn't play this year. Only played 12 games at Texas Tech before transferring. But this is a guy that was a McDonald's All-American, the first-round projected pick 2 years ago. Hasn't panned out so far, injury and then transfer, but I think there's still a high ceiling for an Amari Burnett, and he won't have super high expectations coming in probably due to just not having played in a long time. But I think as we get into like SEC play, he could be a big-time contributor, especially on the defensive end, because that's where he really thrives, and that's where Alabama really didn't thrive last year. But I would expect Alabama to go in the portal a little more, look for some more guards. They're gonna need some more guards if Shackelford and Quinterly are gone to complement Mark Sears, who I think has a skill set that translates to the higher levels. It's not always a given that point guard play from mid-major to the high major level will work out. We've seen it not work. We've seen it work with Carly Jones going to Louisville, and Storm Murphy really found his footing late this season with Virginia Tech, but it doesn't always work that way. I think Sears does because he has great vision, great rebounder for his size, can shoot the basketball, great foul shooter, good in the pick and roll game. He's speedy. He doesn't make too many bad decisions. The turnovers were a little high this year, but I think he'll figure it out and play well in Nate Oates' system. I think it's a big-time addition for the Crimson Tide, and we'll see what they end up doing the rest of the way here, but their roster right now, there's so much up in the air with them, maybe more than just about any other team in the country, because their top 4 scorers could return or they could all be gone. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening there. But for this video, that'll do it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Mark Sears is headed to Alabama, the number 3 transfer on my current list. Make sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, have a good one.